Let's go ahead and get down to business. Um, Here is the Logic session for Jesse's theme from Beware on YouTube's Doctor Who rewriting series. Jesse is a second generation, I think, first or second generation Vietnamese American student in Southern California in the 80s, and she decides to go on adventures with the Doctor, and she's very adventurous spirit, and so I wanted to sort of reflect that in the song. And then also, since it's the 80s, and of course you need synths in the 80s, then I wanted to have basically almost all of the instruments in here be digital. And let me just check my audio one more time before I get started to make sure that you can still hear me. All right, cool. So let's go ahead and get started. So this is Logic. This is the software that I use. I'm totally ripping off Jacob Collier by doing this stream because this is like his thing. So we've got basically four main groups here. So we've got Percussion, which is primarily just this digital kit that is playing through most of the song. So very, very synthwave, very fun. And it's just a built-in kit from Logic called Video Star. So these are all the different things. So this is actually the first time that I've used one of Logic's new features, which is the step sequencer, which is really, really cool, and I can't wait to have an excuse to use it again. So basically what it is instead of having like a MIDI region like this, where you've got MIDI notes, it's a step sequencer that's made more for like drum machines, and I think it's really cool. So I guess we can start from the top. So the thing that sort of ties everything together, other than the drums, is these bass synths here. So this is the main one, which is the one you hear at the beginning. And what I've got here is a analog synth from Logic. Like Logic, you need to understand that Logic comes with a stupid amount of free stuff. Viewer says we cannot hear. Uh-oh. Well, I'm listening on my iPad and I can hear. Oh, you can't hear my desktop. Awesome. All right, sweet. Let's continue. So I got this bass arp here, Arpeggiator, and it's supposed to be like an Arpeggiator, but and if you don't know what an Arpeggiator is, basically, so if I were to like play this instrument here, if I turn on an Arpeggiator, then it will automatically play the note over and over and over again. And then if I hold down a chord, it'll arpeggiate the chord. But I couldn't find the right like pattern that I wanted, so I just wrote the notes out manually. And then I've just got some so I've got an overdrive. So Logic's stock overdrive is really, really nice. I'm a big fan of it because it's just a simple wave shaper, and if you want to add some like warmth to something, it's a really, really easy fix. Nothing too complicated about it. And then the Sausage Fattener by Dada Life, which is great because now he's happy, and then he gets angrier as he gets fatter. And I've found that generally the best place is like right when his smile starts to fade. That's usually a really good setting. And then I just got some EQ. And then also I got this sine bass, which is just a sine wave. Just a sample of a sine wave. And all of that's doing is it's just adding a little bit of depth to this bass, so that so without it sounds like this, and then with the sine wave it's like, if you're not listening on headphones you probably can't hear the difference there. Also, it might not even go through the Twitch compression, but trust me, it's effective. So yeah, let's go down to the main synths. So this is sort of like the primary thing. I called this an arpeggiator, but it's not really, because also it's just tracing out the individual notes. Also, when I do stuff and write synth parts on Logic, I don't have like a keyboard to play, so I literally just like right click, create note, and then just draw the notes in. Which is probably not the best way to do it, but it's what I'm used to. So that's that. I think maybe a good thing to do would be to just go through the song instead of going instrument by instrument. So we already talked about this bass arpeggiator, and then this guy. And then I've got this white noise sweep that's just a white noise sweep, and I think, yeah. So one thing that's cool is that I've got this thing called Remix Effects, which is a VST that comes with Logic that just has some like just really commonly used effects that people use when they're doing like, you know, fun, you know, pop and EDM stuff. So, you know, I'll just. So it's got a filter. It's got a bit crusher, or no, this is the bit crusher. It's got a repeater. And then it's got this like stutter effect, so, and that's what I'm using for this first drop here. So I've got it automated. So, and then also I have an aux send that everything. So the kick and the snare, and I think a couple other things go in there, and then that drives. Everything in this bus, which is being sidechained by this compressor. So you can see. I wanted the sidechain compression to be just like just barely enough so that you can like notice it if you're looking for it, but nothing like super. So if I were to really crank this. This is actually kind of cool, but not exactly what we're looking for, so. Put it back to where it is. I really like Logic's stock compressors too, because they're really just like no-nonsense compressors that do the job. And you can either look at them through a meter, like this, or through a graph that shows how the reduction is happening over time. And both of those are really cool. Yeah. So, what else? So for this main like synth line here, so this is what it sounds like by itself. Did you have an 80s inspiration, like a specific piece of music that you were referencing for sounds? So Not really. I think I was listening to. I think Beware sent me a couple of pieces that he had in mind in terms of like inspiration, but I think we wanted just kind of like a generic sort of 80s synthwave type thing. Um, I don't know if there are any like specific pieces of music that inspired this. I think it was just kind of like this would be a cool thing. Um, yeah. Uh, I don't really know what else to say to that. Sorry. I wish that I had a better answer for you. Like oh yeah, there was this one song that I loved when I was like a little kid, and I wanted to. Yeah, but it was just kind of like we want to make this sound 80s. Now one of the things is that I wanted there to be like this dichotomy between the Doctor's theme and Jesse's theme. And so Jesse's theme um, is almost all like digital instruments or analog instruments. So it's almost all synths and like Melotrons and stuff like that. And then the Doctor's theme is almost all like real instruments. So it's very like orchestral, and there's like pianos and stuff. But then both of them incorporate a little tiny bit of the other into them, which I think works really well. And we can, as the season goes on, we can play with that more and more when it comes to how we score different scenes. So yeah, so I'll go through these synths here. So this one we already talked about. This is like the sort of lead line arpeggiator thing. This is the main sort of theme. Which is this sort of like major dominant fourth, dominant fourth, suspended fourth, suspended second cadence going on here. I'm trying to use smart music theory language when I'm talking about this, but usually I don't actually know what I'm talking about. So if I use a term incorrectly, it's because I don't actually know what it means. So feel free to call me out. So I'm using Omnisphere for this synth like I do for almost everything. In fact, let's see which of these are not Omnisphere. This one's Omnisphere, this one's Omnisphere, this one's Omnisphere. Okay, this one's Sculpture. So this one is not Omnisphere, but the other ones are Omnisphere. Omnisphere is like the best goddamn synth like VST you can ever get. It's amazing. It comes with so much shit. It's amazing. Yeah. So what I've got here, let's peel back the layers here and start to deconstruct this. So how many multis do I have? How many parts do I have? All right. So let's start with this one. So the first thing is this JP8 sample. And I wanted this like really bright, like big synth sound, and I've always had trouble like getting these sorts of things. And so this sounds kind of thin on its own, and it doesn't sound like really sparkly. One of the things that helped was to filter the cutoff here with I think this envelope here. So what it does is that as the note is held out, it I think it increases the cutoff so that towards the tail end of these notes, like you get the hear that where it's just like this that's coming out. And then another thing that I found out is that if you add like a layer of white noise over the the synth, then so here's the noise by itself. So it's just like this sort of like noise, but it adds some like extra sparkle. Just like so yeah, it works together pretty well. And then this other layer. So I've like forgotten about most of the stuff that I've done because I made this so long ago, and so I'm kind of like rediscovering it with you all as I'm like going through it. So I think this is like some extra like warmth in the low end because this is like really trebly. It's like really thin. And so I wanted to add something that's like an octave down that just adds a little more like thickness to it. And it's pretty simple. It's just two oscillators that are an octave down. So together, it sounds like this. And then add the sausage fattener, of course. You're going to be seeing a lot of this guy as we go through. He's pretty happy in this one, so that's good. And then I've got a couple delays that just make it, sound bigger. And that's an EQ. And then this EQ is mainly just helping it to not make this whole like something sound too busy. And then I added some vintage reverb as well. So that's what it sounds like. And so, like I said, like there isn't a whole lot of harmonic information coming from this lead, which is generally what you want. You want the harmony to come from other instruments, I think. So one thing I've got is this harmony. So if I play the sine bass and the harmony together. So the chords here are so the song's in E flat major. So the chords here are it's E flat major, A flat major, B flat major. So it's 1 4 5. So it's like do 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 do. And so this harmony is just playing. So first is playing the major seventh. So the main chord is this E flat. So it's playing a D. And I wish maybe I should like get out my guitar to like go through the music theory of this, but it's probably not what people are here for. So I'm gonna skip nerding out over that. So if this is the chord progression, so it's, let me move up an octave. This is the ghetto way to do stuff is playing music with your keyboard. Wait, is that the chord progression? Now I've got myself like confused. Oh no, it's not. So it's actually 1 2 4. So it's I like that bass. It's kind of atmospheric. Yeah. Are you talking about the sine wave bass here? Are you talking about this guy? Or are you talking about this guy? Anyway, that one. Okay, the second one. There's like a stream delay, so when you say that one, I'm not sure which one you're talking about. Anyway, so this is playing like the major minor seventh. So this first chord is a E flat major, so it's playing the major seventh of that, which is a D. And then the second chord is playing the second one. Okay, yeah, I like it too. And then the second chord is in F minor. So it's gonna play the E flat, which is the minor seventh of that chord. And then this last chord is this A flat major. Yeah, A flat major, and so it's playing the ninth. So I really want to like hold my guitar and like play this chord progression, but I don't want to like get out my guitar. So. And then as for the actual instrument, we've got just this oscillator here actually. So, and an arpeggiator. So this actually is an arpeggiator. And then I've got Valhalla Shimmer to make it sound really like ethereal and yeah. So yeah. And then another thing is one thing that I noticed is that this whole synth section together, it wasn't really meshing very well and it wasn't sounding very thick. So like, well, it sounds thick because I have the bass. So without the bass. So if we look at the analyzer, it's not like. Well, I guess it looks pretty even on the analyzer, but it didn't sound like there was enough like presence. And so what I did was I added this guy, and I call this riff, which is just this like really dirty synth that does this. Like this oscillator is literally called Brutalizer. So, yeah, it's just adding some extra crunch to this whole thing. That's CRONCH, by the way, crunch. So that's the main chorus section. So actually, we've looked at a lot of this so far because that involves most of the instruments in the session. There's this guy, which I really like. I think is cool. So I'm using the sculpture like harp type synth. It's a legit musical term. That you are absolutely 100% correct. It is a legit musical term. So this is just arpeggiating out this. It's some sort of like weird like major 7 chord, I think. There are a lot of major 7s in this song. Mainly because I just really like major 7s. But one thing that I did is I added this bit crusher. And it adds some like upper end sparkle to it. Another cool thing that it does is that if you listen really closely, some of the notes kind of get like choked out. Like that one. And that just adds some more like personality to the who is trying. It adds some more like personality to the to that instrument. Yeah. So that's actually all of the synths, all the synth instruments. And then in addition to that, I've got these Melotrons. So I really wanted to add like some strings, but then I was like, well, I made this sort of kind of rule that I wanted to be largely synths. And then I was like, oh shit, let's add a Melotron. And so Logic has a really, really good Melotron instrument. So I've got two here. I've got a violin. And then I'm doing pitch bend to, and the pitch bend I think really, really adds a lot of personality to it. I really like this chord that it hits here. So this is a this is like a 1/3, I think. Or no, this is just an A sharp and an E flat, A sharp and a D sharp. But with the cello. Wait, where'd the cello go? What happened? What? I lost my Melotron. What the heck? Alright, let's fix that. So I literally just had this cello. What? Here it was. I was using this. What? That doesn't sound right, but I'm not entirely sure what was going on there. I feel like I should transpose this up another octave. There we go. That's what it was. So it's just tracing out the chord progression. And I think here it was supposed to pitch shift down. So somehow I think this like got like lost, or I hope it didn't get like corrupted, because that would be really bad. There we go. So that has kind of a fun vintage noise to it that I like a lot. I don't care what it's called. It's called a Melotron, dude. So Melotrons are actually really cool. Let me just open up some Chrome here. Melotrons are really cool. So basically, what they are is they were these really, really old instruments that were kind of like they came along before synthesizers and samplers. So each of these keys here, come on, each of these keys here would trigger a tape recording of like a real instrument playing that note. And so that's, they had this really, really, really like unique sound to them. And actually this control panel kind of looks like this control panel, see? And they had like this really, really unique sound to them, and so like, yeah, Melotrons are cool. I love Melotrons. So in context, So we go up to this 1/3 chord, the 1/6 I think it's called, and then back down to the 2, and then you resolve to the 4, and then we go into this second section. And so the second section is just the chorus again, but it's twice as long, and then we vary the chord progression a bit. So we're back to 1, and then go to 2, 4, 1, 4, 5, and so this is identical to the first chorus, but then we go to the minor chord. It's like, oh, what's going on here? So for Jesse's theme, like I think that Jesse's theme is kind of defined by two things, which is this melody here, that, and this chord progression. Specifically, this part here. And then 6, 3, and then resolving back up. So specifically, so this guy here, that it just like right here, that minor 3 chord, it just adds a lot of sort of like emotional nuances to the song, and so that's sort of like anytime that there's like that chord playing is sort of like a signal that it's going to resolve, basically, and it's kind of like this sort of bittersweet resolution to the theme. And so for this section, this is where it starts to get fun. Azra says that melody will translate well as a melancholy variations for the show. Yeah, I definitely agree. So here we add a nice high pass filter to. It's a fun EDM trick to just like everything like kind of just cuts out. And then we've just got this guy, and then we have a delay that we slowly introduce here. So and so here we've got the filter starting to come back, but it still sounds pretty thin, and then we introduce back the violin melody from before, and then we build on it. So, and also, no, actually, this isn't the violin melody from before. This is like a combination of the main theme with the violin melody from before, and then it's over a different chord progression. And then back to the 1, 2. So here, this is where things start to actually get like orchestral, and more like cinematic and like film scory. So lots of things like happen here. So first of all, for the effects, I've got this really cool contact instrument called Rise and Hit, which just generates these risers and then these like really big hits, and I use this all the time. Lots of fun. And then I've got another one, so I've got these layered on top of each other. And then this one repeats. And then in addition to that, I've got these bass drops. And so the cool thing about the bass drops is that I want it to be like, I want it to be something that like is really deep, like a bass drop should be, but I wanted it to have more mid range. So what time is it, by the way? I don't want to like. Okay, so we've been streaming for, dang, almost 2 hours. Wow. All right. Well, we're almost done. And so this bass drop here, I wanted to have some mid-range too. So what I did is, usually I'm going to add like an overdrive or something, or some sort of wave shaper to add harmonics higher up. But instead, what I did was I made a separate send, so for just mid-range. So that's what that sounds like. So I've got the sausage fattener. He's starting to get a little unhappy here. And then I've got some EQ to just tame that a bit, because without it, it sounds like this. And we want to get rid of all of that low range, because we're just worrying about the mid range right now. And then we don't want too much like high harmonics, because we still want something that's kind of like, we want it to just be like audible if you're listening to it on iPhone speakers, but you don't want it to be like overpowering. And one of the things that I do while I mix is I put in an EQ, and then I just high pass at like 300 or 400 hertz, and you can still hear that bass drop. So that means that if you're listening on like iPhone speakers, you can still probably hear it. And then later on, we take away that mid range, because at this point other stuff is going on, and we don't want the mid range from the bass drop cluttering that up, but we still want the bass. So all together. And then in terms of percussion, I was going to add some more stuff here, but honestly, the toms and the snare. So what do I have here? So I've got kick, I've got 2 toms, and that is what is supplying the hits here. And then that combined with the bass drops, so every 2 bars you get a hit with some extra punch with the bass drop. So. And then for the second time through, I've got these action strikes, which is another instrument from Native Instruments, which are just adding more oomph to it, while the normal percussion goes back to a sort of like normal beat. And then now let's talk about the orchestral stuff. So, did you draw the drums or play them? I drew them. So these drums here are on a step sequencer. So this was programmed in. Everything is programmed in. I don't really like play stuff, because I'm a shitty pianist, and I don't have a keyboard with me right now. So I just draw everything in by hand. So a few things are going on here. We've got some violins and cellos and stuff. but they're gonna start to fade in, and then we've got this glockenspiel. And then these sort of natural strings start to fade in. So and one thing that would probably really help this is some brass. So maybe later on, if we do like an alternative version of this, then it'll have some brass in it. So all together, oh yeah, one more thing is that I have a different type of bass here. So this is what the normal one is, and then this one is a little more mid-rangey. So this is what it sounds like. So I've got another retro synth that is just playing some sawtooth waves, and I've got some filters on it, and then I have clip distortion and a high pass filter on it. And that's just because I wanted a sort of different color for this part. And one thing that's really interesting is that the thing that makes these hits feel really, really big is actually all going on. Turn on the analyzer. It's all going on in this like 1 to 2K range, which is way higher than I think that you'd sort of because you usually think that like really, really big hits, they like hit you in your chest, so it's like really, really low. And there's lots of low end stuff going on here, but actually most of the stuff that makes it sound really big is actually in the sort of upper mids and like treble, which is kind of interesting. Got that build. And then we're back to the beginning. And so this is another chorus that is just like before. So we go back to the minor 6. 4, 5, but then instead of going to the 6, we resolve to the 1. And then that just sort of bookends the whole song. And then we have this sort of epilogue here. I couldn't really figure out how to end this, so I kind of just like... I was thinking of going into another section here, but then I was like, okay, the song's probably done here. So I just did that. So yeah, and then as far as overall mixing, there really isn't a whole lot. I already talked about the side chaining. Most of these channels, I think I've got a couple of buses that... So I've got a couple of reverbs here that are just adding some stuff. Oh, here we go. This one's called, what's this called? 80s Verb Fuck Yeah. So this is just a bus with that Valhalla vintage Verb. 1980s, of course. And that just adds a bit more space to it. Real Phil Collins, like, gotta get those Phil Collins drums, you know? Didn't quite do that for this one, but maybe one day. So yeah, that's basically Jesse's theme. I feel like I've kind of treated this like a college lecture or something, even though I'm thoroughly unqualified to give advice on like audio production. But this was a lot of fun to make, and maybe later I can do another one of these streams walking through the Doctor's theme, which has a lot more stuff going on, but in other ways it's a lot less complicated because the instruments are just like natural instruments instead of all synths. So yeah, I want to hear the big picture. Well, let me drop the link to the let me drop the link to the actual song in the chat here. So Barger again, I don't recognize your username. Have you listened to the episode that this is from? Episode of okay, yeah. So what this is for is there's this British TV show called Doctor Who, and it's this really popular science fiction TV show. And my friend has a YouTube channel called Beware on YouTube, and we are making an audio drama that is yeah, you know Doctor Who, awesome. So basically what we're doing is we are rewriting, or he's rewriting the newest season of the show because it was really bad, and I'm and we're doing it in audio drama format, so like a radio show, and then I'm doing the score, the soundtrack for the TV show. So this is the theme for one of the characters. So if you follow that YouTube link that I seasons, okay. Wait. Seasons of what? Plural. Wait. Which part is plural? I don't. I'm not sure what you're getting at. Last two. Oh, okay, yeah. So, yeah. Well, I mean, I stopped watching. It just like it wasn't super compelling anymore. Say no to Chibs. That's right. Say no to Chibnall. Yeah, the writing, it's just like, I don't know. It's just kind of like it's almost like it's almost like hey, look, the Doctor's a woman now. Wait, you want the Doctor to be a woman and you want her to have like an interesting personality and like good writing and stuff? That's asking too much, man. I can only do one. So anyway, we're trying to do a better job. And yeah, it's really exciting. Episode 1 is up if you follow that YouTube link. And episode 2 is currently in production and should be out later this month. So with that, be sure to subscribe to Beware on YouTube, and also subscribe to my channel on YouTube. Hit me with that fat follow on Twitch so that I can start streaming more. My band, of which I'm the sole member, so I guess it's not really a band, is it? I am releasing a single on Friday, and so be sure to follow my stuff so that you can see that when it drops. So with that, yeah, I think we're just about done. So thank you for showing up. It was really fun to hang out with. I guess hanging out with the two of you. So yeah, thanks for coming by, and hopefully you'll join me when I do one of these again. So yeah, see ya.